Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. It's Christina. So in this video, I really just want to talk about like what it's actually like trying to get your life together in your 20s. And I'm still freshly in my 20s. I'm 23, so I know like I still have a lot of experience left to gain and still learning myself. But with that being said, I'm just gonna like speak on some things that I've experienced already in my 20s that I just want to talk about, because I feel like no matter what age you can feel like this, but especially like in your early 20s, there's just so much pressure that we feel because we're constantly on social media and we're just seeing so much stuff about what we should be doing, what we should not be doing. And I think all that information is sometimes like overwhelming because it's just so much information at one time. So I'm just gonna go through some things that I hope comforts you if you're in your 20s, because these things and just knowing these things just really comfort me, because I know how it is. Like, I know how it feels to just feel like there's just so much that we need to be doing, feeling like there's so much that people are telling us to do. So yeah, let's just get into the video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that success looks so different for everybody right now. Like, I think that's one thing that I have to keep reminding myself, because it's so easy to become like discouraged when you see somebody with kids, or you see someone married, or you see someone in their dream job. Like, everyone's just in so many different places right now, and that's what's supposed to happen. Like, you know, after you graduate college, that's where you can really like spread your wings and kind of figure out like your path and what you're supposed to be doing. But I don't think that it's fair to feel like you're behind if you don't have that dream house, if you don't have your dream car or your dream life, or you're not married yet, because success truly does look different for everyone, and we're all on our own timeline. When I go on Instagram, and so many people that I went to school with are married, engaged, on their first child, and mind you, I'm only 23, and that just is like, it can make you feel like, am I doing these right? Like, is there something wrong with me? But you cannot be thinking like that, because that might be where they need to be right now, and that might be what works for them, but that might not be applicable to you. Like, for me personally, I can't even fathom the idea of being in a committed relationship right now, because there are just so many other things that I'm trying to prioritize. And I know that can be kind of controversial to say, because some people feel like you should equally prioritize, you know, trying to build your family. And I feel like that honestly just boils down to your morals and what you want to do. But for me, I don't think I should be in a committed relationship right now, because I'm very goal oriented, and I just feel like right now I need to dive into more personal development. I need to dive into really understanding who I am before I try to commit to another person. And that's just how I feel about things. So no matter where you are on that timeline, just know that you're gonna get all those things eventually. Like, it's all gonna happen for you. Just don't try to rush the process, because I feel like some people end up rushing into those things thinking that they're being behind, and then what ends up happening? You're miserable because you didn't even know yourself before entering that relationship, or you're miserable because now you have all these obligations and now you just wish that you had that time back to yourself to explore yourself, to really travel and see other things. So I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. Just don't let society pressure you into doing what is deemed normal or is deemed appropriate for your age. Like, that, just don't let that happen. And this kind of ties into that, but it's one thing that I'm realizing, like, in my early 20s, is that it is just so much more important to enjoy the journey than the final destination. Like, I realized that final destination is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, that is something that once you're there, it's good and it's nice and you get to enjoy that, but the majority of the time spent is the journey and is getting to that place. So like, you don't want to spend the whole journey just not enjoying that, because it's the majority of the time, right? So with that being said, like, it's just so important just to realize while you're going through the journey, what can I learn from this? What are some ways that I can build my character while I'm trying to achieve the things that I want to achieve? And I tell myself this all the time, because of course we all want the dream job, we all want the house, we all want the luxury apartment, we all want that. That's gonna happen for each and every one of us. But in the meantime, it's so crucial that we are learning in the season that we are in right now, and appreciating the season that we are in right now. And the reason why I say this is because a year ago, all I could think about was getting to where I am right now. Like, I am in the place where I wanted to be a year ago. And now that I'm here, I look back and I'm like, wow, I didn't even enjoy the most, like, a lot of my undergrad, because I was just so hyper fixated on getting to where I am now. And I'm glad that I made it happen. I'm glad that I was able to move to a different city and, you know, start a new kind of life for myself. But I can never go back to undergrad. I can never go back to that period of my life where I didn't have bills. You know what I mean? It's just like, there's so many blessings to each and every season, and I think that we forget that, and we just just focus so much on what we want that we don't appreciate the season that we're in right now. And this next one is so personal to me, and it's okay to change your mind. Like, it is okay to change your mind. And the reason I'm saying this is because, I don't know, I just feel like a lot of people feel obligated to follow through with the plans that they have for themselves. Let me just talk about my own personal journey when it comes to this. My whole trajectory in my whole 4 years of college was to go to law school. Like, from freshman year to senior year of college, I did internships with the governor. I did legal internships. I did all these things preparing me for law school because I was dead set on doing that. I got to senior year, and then I just really sat back and was like, why do I even want to do that? Why do I want to do that? And I think that's why it's so important, like, whatever you want, to really truly know that you're doing it for yourself. Because once I started thinking about the why behind it, I realized that I did not want to do that. Like, I had an internship, and that internship really just showed me, like, I cannot be a prosecutor. I don't want to go to law school. One thing that it made me realize is that I don't want to do anything that takes that much commitment if I'm unsure about it. Because, and this is just me, my opinion, like, you do not have to follow this if you don't want to. I'm just speaking about my experience. But for me, it was like, I could not see myself investing all that money, investing all that time, if it was something that I was not sure about. And at the end of the day, I could not really give one concrete reason why I was doing it, just besides the fact that it was something that I thought I wanted a couple years ago, and that's why I was doing it. So once I realized that, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, and that's a terrifying feeling, like 100%, having such a concrete vision for what you want, and then suddenly realizing that that's not what you want anymore. That's kind of scary, because it's like, what now? Like, what do I actually want to do? And that's, honestly, that was terrifying. But I don't regret that in the slightest bit. Like, I don't regret not going to law school, because I would not have finished. I know I wouldn't have. I know I would have dropped out, because it wasn't anything that I was truly passionate about. I'm passionate about helping people. I want to do something that's going to leave an impact. So while law school would have done that for me, I wasn't specifically attached to the idea of being an attorney. And I realized that there's a lot of different things you can do besides doing that could get me to the same end goal. So that's kind of my mindset about it. And you know what? I'm still very much like, you know, like, my story's not over yet. I still have a lot more time to understand, like, what I truly want. And so maybe I might choose to go back to school eventually, but as of now, I just don't see myself doing that, like, just as of now. But you know, like I just said, you're free to change your mind. Like, if I ever choose to go back to school, I probably would not go to law school. Maybe I'll go to business school or something. If I want to do that, I still can. And I think we think that once we change our mind, that it's just a permanent decision, and 9 times out of 10, it's not a permanent decision. 9 times out of 10, there's always a way for us to start over and go back to the original plan. So I'll just say, don't feel bad about changing your mind. I personally, and this is just my opinion again, I think your 20s is the best time to change your mind, because the older we get, the more obligations that we have, the more responsibilities that we have, the more we're locked into certain things that we have to do. So right now, it's just the best time to try things out, see what works, see what doesn't, and just really just experiment with things. And this is something that entering my 20s, I was just not prepared for. And I had to get used to outgrowing environments. And on top of that, you have to be able to identify when you have outgrown an environment. This is so important. And this is just so important for several reasons, but I think the main one is because you don't want to be stuck in a place that you've outgrown. Doing that is one of the biggest ways that you will not reach your fullest potential, because you're limiting yourself to an environment that does not serve you anymore. So it is just so crucial that, like, once you feel like you're not growing in a certain area anymore, like you're not learning in a certain area anymore, I would really challenge you to find somewhere that is better suited for what you're trying to do, or find somewhere that is conducive to the person that you want to be. Because I don't know, like, me personally, I've told this story a million times on my channel. Like, I moved from Indiana to Atlanta, and the biggest reason is because I just feel like I personally outgrew Indiana. I was there my whole life. I feel like I felt like trapped there. I really felt trapped. And I think the biggest disservice you could do for yourself is ignore that feeling, because you feel that way for a reason, and there's something inside of you that knows that you deserve more, and there's something in you that's saying that you have to find a different environment that's gonna be better suited for the life that you want for yourself. So just please don't ignore that feeling. And this doesn't have to be leaving your state, moving to a different environment. This could be if you're at a job, well, the job market is a little bad right now, so let me not even say that. This is like, okay, for example, if you're in a friend group where all they do, like they just do the same things each and every day and you really don't see any personal growth with them, I'm not saying leave your friends. Like by all means, if they're your friends, you don't have to leave them, but why don't you find a different group of friends that are actually challenging you, actually motivating you, actually encouraging you to like be better. Like I think this is like, you have to constantly be in environments that you are being challenged, because that is how we rise to the occasion. That's just how we become better people. And guys, this next one, okay, no one warned me about this one, about being in your 20s and just being an adult in general. Like friendships take work now. Like friendships, you actually have to put in effort. And I know that sounds, I guess that sounds obvious, but it's something that really threw me off, because it's like when you're in undergrad or when you're in high school, whatever, you're always around your friends. Like you see them, you know, at school, you see them after school, whatever. But when you're literally miles away from your friends, or you're literally in a different state than your friends, it can be so hard to actually find like intentional time to connect with your friends. It's something that I'm still figuring out, honestly, because it's hard to navigate. And like we all have our own lives now. We're all in school, or we're all working. So finding those times to really be intentional about connecting and just like maintaining those friendships can be difficult in your 20s. And I just completely like was not expecting that to happen, but it does. And bouncing off of this one, forming friendships in your 20s is a completely different type of thing than forming friendships in like as a teenager or whatever. And this, you know, for the same reasons. It's like people already have their friends, like we're adults, so it's like people already have friends that they've been with for years, and it's like, where do you even go to make friends? Me personally, when I moved here, I was so intentional about being in spaces where I would be able to form friendships, because I personally didn't make that many friends in college. So when I went to college and I left with like 2 new friends, I was like, okay, no, like I messed up. I didn't even like utilize college for that purpose of building connections. So I was like, I'm not making that same mistake. So once I moved here, I put myself in places where I was around people with the same mindset as me, with the same goals as me. And mind you, it's also okay to do this in areas where you just want to learn about different kinds of things. You just want to learn about different kinds of people. That's also okay too. I do that too. So just getting around different types of people, and just getting around people who I think we might, you know, might have some similarities. And yeah, I think that's been the easiest way for me to like start to make new friendships, and just joining groups. And I hate how cliche that sounds, like just join a group, but like getting out there in general. It doesn't have to be an official group. I would just say even doing the things that you do in your house, in a coffee shop, or in a different environment, that is still gonna be more helpful for you to actually make friends, because at least you're outside, at least you're around other people. And so yeah, I've met people just from going to events by myself and just by getting out there. And I feel like a lot of people are just like scared of that, or that's something that's hard for them to do. But it gets easy once you realize that everyone's thinking the same thing. Everyone's thinking about, oh my gosh, like I don't know anyone here, like who do I talk to? Everyone has those same thoughts in their head. So once you kind of like take out the intimidation factor of it, it just becomes easy. Like you just know, like we're all in the same boat. Like it just kind of gets easier knowing that you're not the only one in that situation. This next one I think is so important, because correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not trying to like, but yeah, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like one of the big takeaways, or what people are saying a lot right now, is you have to find balance, you have to find a routine, you have to do this. And like that sounds cute, like it sounds very cute, but like actually doing that is just, that sounds good in theory, but actually applying that is a completely different story. And so the next one that I want to talk about is just like, it's okay to not have balance all the time, because that can be unrealistic based off the season of life that you're in. Like honestly, like life is not always gonna be balanced, and having that expectation that it's gonna be, I feel like it's just setting you up for disappointment. Because guys, you know how it is. Like we're in our 20s, we're trying to navigate our careers, navigate dating and our social life, and you know, maintaining our friendships, and what else, and trying to eat 3 meals a day, and trying to exercise, an endless amount of things that we're trying to balance all at once. Anyone who says that they can balance all those things equally is a liar. And I'm just saying that how it is, because you cannot, I'm not saying you can't balance things. I'm just saying if you balance all those things consistently for like a long period of time, no, there's gonna be days where you don't do this or you don't do this. And I think that's okay. And I don't think you should beat yourself up for it if you feel like you're not doing everything, because that's what I do all the time. And I know like this video is sometimes is a little bit for me too, because I need to tell myself that it's okay to not do everything every single day. Like, it is okay. You will be fine. Just the fact that you feel that way says that you care. It really just says that you have good intentions. And honestly, half of the battle is just trying. I'm not gonna lie. So I don't know, like, there's just so much that we have to do. Don't feel bad about if you skip one day doing this or you forgot to do this. Like, it is okay. I have to tell myself that all the time because I'm such like I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to reach this goal, I need to do this. And that is just not mentally healthy because it's unrealistic, you know? So what I like to do instead is I like to do something where I call it win the day. And this is just, it could be one task, it could be 3 tasks, it could be however many tasks I want it to be or things I want to do. And once I do that one thing or those 2, 3 things or those 3 things, if I do that, I won the day. I give myself a pat on the back because I did what I told myself I was going to do today. And doing that is just so, it makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you be nicer to yourself because it's like, okay, I just had this one thing to do and I did it. And bravo to me. Like, I did what I need to do. And like, I just think we have to be kinder to ourselves because in this society, it's just so, you guys know how it is. We all know how it is. It's just overwhelming. It's tiring. It's draining. You don't want to like talk down to yourself. You don't want to add on to all those things by putting yourself down. And this kind of goes off of that one, but every day won't be productive. Like, that's it's kind of similar, but like, yeah, I just gave up on the idea that every single day I need to be productive because I don't think that's how humans are supposed to operate. Like, I just don't think that's very sustainable. And I purposely have been trying to incorporate rest days into my schedule just because one rest day can multiply my productivity for the rest of the week. The next thing that I really had to come to terms with in my 20s, but especially now, is like rejection is inevitable. Like, there's gonna be times where we don't get what we want. And I don't, you know, like, no one likes to hear that. Everyone wants the things that they want. But I just think in the moments of rejection, it's just important to assess maybe why you didn't get that or what you're supposed to be learning in this season instead of getting what you want. Because sometimes I will really want something and I don't get it. And then it's like 2 months later, I have that aha moment of like, whoa, I know why I didn't get that now. It's because of this, or it's because I would have messed it up, or it's because something better happened for me, you know? So like, when we face rejection, especially in our 20s, because that's just the beginning of it. Like, we're just starting to like be constantly putting ourselves out there, constantly be, you know, trying to get things. And when we face that rejection, it's just so important to like use it as fuel and use it as time to reflect on what we could be doing to improve ourselves and reflect on why we want the things we want anyway. So, and this is the last one that I'm going to talk about. I just think it is so important to be open to changing your mindset. Your 20s is just such a really like transformative time period, and it is just so important that you challenge your beliefs and challenge the way that you used to think, because it's easy for us to get stuck in our ways and just think the same thing. But how does that lead to growth? Like, I am constantly trying to challenge myself, trying to think in a different perspective and see things from a different light, because that is how that's just how you develop as a person. That's how you connect with other people. Like, I want to work on personally is like how I show up in my friendships. And honestly, since I have like something that I want to work on, I am constantly being very intentional about making sure that I do things to be a good friend and making sure I do things to work on it, because I think we have to always have like a growth mindset. We have to always have a mindset of we might not know the answers, we might not always be right, and really be open to changing our minds. Because I don't know, you ever see someone that's like super old and you can tell that they've had the exact same mindset that they've had for like the last 50 whatever years? Like, that just is so, like, how do you live like that? Like, how are you not constantly trying to see things in a different way and really try to be more open to things? Like, I always want to be very open-minded. So I think that's one thing that my 20s is really showing me, is just like how much opportunity I have had to like challenge my mindset, because I'm confronted all the times with areas that I was not once familiar with things that I can definitely like work on in myself. And I just think that's really like necessary. So yeah, guys, that was the video. I hope you liked it. Let me know what you think. If you disagree with anything I said, I would love to have that conversation in the comment section. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.